Hey everybody, welcome to another edition of Shop Talk. As always, I'm Michael Stoops, and today I've got with me Marcus Kleiss.
How's it going?
Good. Marcus Kleiss, you want to come join me over here, buddy, so we can talk about M888 Beyond Ceramic Coat? Marcus, please, stop what you're doing.
I'm almost done.
He's applying a coating, so it's kind of no big deal. He can just stop in the middle of what he's doing, because you guys do it all the time, right? Don't you? With a coating application? Well, guess what? You actually can with M888 Beyond Ceramic. Thanks for joining.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah. We want to spend a little bit of time and go over some notes that we have, some things that we've discussed with perhaps some of you folks on even pre-production with 888 while we were working on it. And let's kind of get something out of the way here first real quick. Beyond Ceramic. Now, we don't mean that we've taken like ceramics and made them passe and we've got something that's beyond ceramic, but maybe
maybe we do.
What do we mean by beyond ceramic?
It's the perfect name that tells you everything and nothing all at once, right?
Okay.
But I mean, really, the point of the name Beyond Ceramic, it wasn't that we set out and said, hey, we're gonna make this product that is totally different than ceramic coatings. Mm-hmm. You know, we set out to make a very good professional grade coating. Through that multi-year process, as we kept getting results and testing against, true pro-grade certified only type coatings, we kept finding that many aspects of either performance or experience were beyond what you would expect from a ceramic coating.
So you're used to getting this. We were shooting for that, and we were hitting
that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, that's cool.
So it kind of just happened that way, and we thought, what's the best way to convey what to expect from this? And really it is, hey, you're familiar with ceramic coatings, ceramic coatings, but they've been out here a while now. It's time to up that ante a little bit and step it beyond ceramic.
Well, and one of the biggest things, and you guys know that have applied coatings out there, they can be kind of finicky to apply.
Sure.
And some can be a downright pain in the backside to apply. And we really wanted to take that aspect out of it.
Yeah.
And that comes about in a couple of different ways. The formulation of the product itself is very different from anything else that's on the market. The applicator is obviously very different, and those two kind of go hand in hand. This is really the applicator to use. This is a full-on microfiber, kind of like our microfiber discs, right?
Sure.
For machine polishing, but it's the way this product works with the microfiber that makes this combination as effective as it is with that application.
It was actually a little bit necessary too, and part of the going beyond how you typically approach a ceramic coating is, not to get too much into the weeds of the formulation, but a lot of times you've got a ratio of what they call either actives or solids, and that's what's going to be left behind and form a coating. And then you have another part of the formula that helps you spread that out. Mm-hmm. And that typically is what causes that rainbow flash that most of us are attuned to look for.
Yeah, those are the volatile solvents that evaporate out very quickly.
But in this case, this is 100% actives, which is to say everything that is in that bottle is capable of forming into a coating in the end. So instead of having 70-30 of solids to solvents, the formula that is beyond a traditional formula, that is what gives you this unique approach. Now, as a result, it's a little bit thicker. So some of the normal applicators, they just don't quite work right with it because they're tuned for something that has a lot of solvent that's going to flash away. And this doesn't do that. So we really found that this gave you that nice feel and let you really push it into the paint and spread it out, and it feels right.
And the crazy thing is, all of that description on the face of it, on the surface, almost makes it sound like this would be more difficult to apply in a lot of ways. And it really isn't. The application process, and I mean the actual wiping on, it's never difficult to wipe a product on the paint. It's the taking off the excess was where the challenges tend to come about. The high spots that we've talked about where those solvents flash off really quick, you see that kind of rainbow effect. And if you don't wipe that down within a certain time frame, it starts to set up pretty hard. You end up having to compound that off and basically start all over again. You saw here in real time, we interrupted Marcus while he was applying this, and this stuff's been sitting there for a few minutes already.
I'm not nervous
and
about
we're
it.
not at all nervous about it.
Good.
Otherwise we wouldn't be sitting here. But it's that wipe off that is really that easy to do, and that's what really separates things out. That and that time window, so you're not stressed.
Right.
to your point earlier, it kind of puts the fun back into it. You can be working on a client's car, take a phone call, and have that discussion get a little bit deeper and not worry about where you've left off.
Yeah.
So that wipe off actually becomes pretty, but we still have a kind of a recommended window of time, just because, I mean, you're not going to apply it and wait for an hour. That just doesn't make any kind of sense. You don't want to apply it and wipe it off immediately either, though.
Yeah, your typical window is in the normal realm of 2 to 5 minutes. Temperature can play a role. If it gets particularly cold, under 70, lean towards the higher end of that 5-minute spectrum. If it's really warm out, it's 80 plus, then you could probably wipe it off very safely in about a 2-minute window.
Yeah.
When in doubt, wait a little longer, which is probably the opposite of what you're used to.
Sure.
And that's the beauty of this, is that getting a high spot, you could wait 60 minutes on an 80-degree day, or
60 minutes.
24 hours, and still come back and be able to wipe that off.
That also means that pretty much as a matter of course, you can apply the product to an entire panel at a time before you come back and start wiping it off.
Yeah, you could. Now, to be clear, the optimal experience in terms of how easy it is to wipe it off, you're still going to want to stick in that 2 to 5 minute range.
Yeah.
But you can, and you're not having to worry about compounding, polishing, or any of that nonsense. Put a little more product in the applicator, re-wipe that area if, say, you find a high spot the next day, and then wipe it right off.
If you find a high spot the next day, an area that you missed on the wipe off, apply a little bit more product onto the applicator, work it over that area, and then wipe it off.
Yeah.
Rather than compound and have to start over again.
Yep.
Okay, that's pretty huge, but this window of time, typical 2 to 5 minutes, if it goes longer, it really doesn't change that wipe off.
Yeah, you'll notice that it gets a little bit, you'll feel it starting to set up and cure. It's a little bit tougher, but it's not anywhere near what you're used to with a traditional coat.
It is pretty straightforward. This has been sitting on here for, I don't know, 6 or 7 minutes at this point. Yeah. You want to go in and show how easy, because we could talk all day long about how easy it is to wipe it off, but no, it's been sitting there in real time. We don't have some clock in the background that's buzzing through. Let's go ahead and wipe it off. See how easy it is. I'm gonna make you do the hard work.
I guess. Well, maybe we'll do half of it and leave some for later.
Sure. Yeah, we can do that too.
So basically, clean towel, the usual, and you're just gonna do your traditional buffing, and just like that, after whatever that's been, 6 or 7 minutes, it's that easy. Take about half of that off, flip it over to a clean, dry side, and do that kind of final wipe.
You can always tell that he's not working hard because he can talk through the entire process. If you're working hard, you start huffing and puffing when you're trying to talk, and that's just, and even doing the entire car. You left part of it on there still?
Yep, about half of it's still there.
So as we continue to talk through this, it's still just going to sit there. We'll come back and wipe it off later. Now, this is not fully cured.
No.
At this point. There's a big difference between wipe off time and cure time.
Yeah.
So when we talk about the slickness and the chemical resistance and this, that, and all the other great aspects of this, the incredible water beating, some of that happens immediately, but the product isn't fully cured yet.
Yeah. So there's some key times to kind of pay attention to. In the real world, you're going to have about 24 hours for what we call an initial cure. Mm-hmm. That means you can go take that car and go drive it and be okay. Even if it were to rain on it, it's not the end of the world. You can gently wipe that down with some clean towels. Mm-hmm. You're going to want to wait at least a week, which is pretty standard.
Typical, yeah.
Yep.
Right.
Before you wash it with any chemicals, even just a normal car wash. Now, there is a little bit of an extra variable to know about. If it's in the dead of winter like it is now, and it's 60 or below, a true full cure may go beyond that week, but you're able to start washing it at that week period. Mm-hmm. But you may even notice that beading will get even better over the course of another week or two if it's particularly cold out.
Yeah, we see a little bit too often people kind of test the benefits of a product like this, and we've seen a lot of people do this. They apply the product, and then they start hitting it with their chemical washes and whatever else. Like within minutes, we've literally seen people apply a product and then start stress testing it right away. And any coating on the market is not going to like that. Waxes and sealants don't even like that. Things need to set up a little bit. So follow the manufacturer's directions before you try to do any stress testing and play around and see what it can do. Because we would love to show you a chemical wash on this, but it needs to cure. So the little video clip that's actually going to play that actually shows all the chemical washing was done after this cured for a full week. And then we just beat the daylights out of it with acid and alkaline, and it just keeps beating water like crazy. Where the other side of the hood with just a more traditional wax on it, that wax is gone pretty much after one harsh chemical wash.
Yep.
Think of a tunnel wash, a touchless tunnel wash that basically uses an acid and an alkaline wash to get all the different types of road grime and whatnot off of your vehicle. Those things strip wax off pretty much right away.
Right.
And if you live in a northern climate where they're salting the roads and it's wintertime and you probably even have your outside water turned off so that your pipes don't freeze at home, you can't wash your car at home yourself. You're either going to a coin op with a sprayer, or you're going through a drive-through, and that's where you're getting that pretty heavy chemical wash. And 888 will stand up to that pretty impressively.
Yeah, once it's cured, that was one of the goals. We did a lot of testing in extreme, Minnesota winters, that sort of thing, because we realized that that's where it's going to live for some folks. And one of the main benefits of a real professional grade coating is that it does have the resistance to the types of realistic chemicals or contamination it might face, out in the world.
And that incredible level of water beating, the great chemical resistance, the durability. Interestingly enough, for 888, that's not just for the paint, is it?
Right. Yes. Yeah. One of the other things that's really kind of beyond what most coatings will do, the traditional ceramic coatings, is that this is actually built to be very effective on several surfaces. So we know that a lot of people are putting paint protection film, or PPF. A lot of vehicles come from the factory now with some vinyl, maybe graphics or something like that added on the vehicle as well. And then there's also bits and pieces of pebble texture trim or plastic.
We're seeing more and more vehicles, especially around wheel arches on some SUVs, a lot of the smaller ones. They've got a lot of that pebble grain texture on there, more and more of that kind of thing. And 888 will actually work really well on all of those surfaces with the same application process.
Correct. And even for wheels as well. So painted wheels, most OEM wheels that come on your vehicle are going to have some kind of a clear coat paint setup. It's going to be great. That chemical resistance that we were talking about earlier really comes into play, obviously.
Sure does.
When you're using wheel cleaners or the harsh environment that a wheel sees. You can coat your wheels and enjoy that same performance there too.
And because you've got that crazy level of slickness and the angle of the water beads and all the fun stuff that goes in with that, the cleaning of your wheels even becomes that much easier, let alone the fact that the vehicle is almost self-cleaning when you're driving it in the rain, which doesn't really happen without a coating on it. So all of those benefits that you come to expect from a coating are here with 888 Beyond Ceramic, but man, that application process is just crazy easy, and all the rest of the trim on the car as well. All right, so some other things that folks were looking about, a lot of those things that we talked about, but there's something else here that kind of helps with reducing the stress and even the time involved, and this is a single layer coating.
Right, that's a big thing. Most of the time with many coatings, you need at least 2 coats or 2 layers to make sure that you're going to get optimal performance. Now in this case, you can optionally do a second coat, but that's really about making sure you don't miss a spot. If you're paying very close attention and your experience of putting these coatings on, and you make sure you're methodical about it, you do not need to even do a second layer. So you could do a one and done single layer on the vehicle and get the full protection that you're going to want out of that product.
We do call this detailing, so you should be paying attention to the details.
Should be.
And just, we always say if you slow down, you work faster, because you get it done right the first time. You don't have to go back and redo something. As soon as you have to go back and redo something, you've completely slowed down your operation. Doesn't matter how fast you're going and trying to do stuff. You've slowed it down because you have to go back and do it again because you didn't pay attention to the details. But a single coat to get all of those benefits with that ease of wipe off, that's fun, and that does put the fun back into doing this, because then you can go out and enjoy the vehicle without having to worry about doing it over and over again. A couple of the other things that are going on here when you are applying the coating, everybody talks about doing full paint correction on a vehicle before applying any coating. And it's probably true that with any other coating on the market, you don't absolutely have to do a full paint correction, but the reality of the situation is you're applying a paint coating to protect a really good looking vehicle, right? And that really good looking part comes from the paint looking its best. And we know that even with the oldest of old school waxes, they're going to last longer on the paint if the paint is at least decontaminated, clayed, so that it's a nice, smooth, clean finish. Okay, if you wax a car that's full of swirls, you're still going to see the swirls. If you put a ceramic coating on a car that's full of swirls, you're pretty much going to lock those swirls into place, right? 888 is a little bit different with this.
So I mean, it's still recommended if you want the best possible final results, and you want to make sure that paint is as clean as possible for that maximum bond of the coating to the surface, then of course, do all those steps of that prep.
Yeah, if you've got an existing wax on the car, do not try to apply this on here. You want to get that off. And whether that means you have to compound it or you can chemically strip it or whatever, that's fine, but you still want 888 applied to completely bare paint, whether it's corrected or not. So at least clay it and decon it before you apply it.
Now, there's a couple different scenarios where there's a benefit to 888 over many ceramic coatings. Sometimes when you put a coating over any kind of light swirls or maybe haze, it's very common now where a lot of us are using a DA to correct the paint or dual action polisher. They can sometimes leave an undesirable haze that reduces the darkness of the paint, right? And if you're a first timer or you're new to polishing, that might be a very intimidating thing to think you can get your paint totally perfect. And so you're afraid to polish and then try and coat and seal that in, right? So 888 is not designed to eliminate the need to correct your paint before applying coating. But we realize that not everyone is a seasoned pro, and there's paints these days are coming softer and thinner than ever. And so sometimes you don't want to do 2-3 aggressive steps of paint correction. Maybe you do a one step with either just a good finishing compound like M110, or you use just a polish. There may be some minor defects. 888's not necessarily going to hide 100% of those, but it will definitely diminish and darken the paint in a good way and help to fill in some of that. So that DA haze becomes much less noticeable.
But a lot of coatings on the market, if you've got some fine scratches that are still left behind, they'll almost amplify those.
Yeah, it has to do with the optical properties of the actual coating itself. Different chemistries will differently either magnify or dampen and kind of hide those defects.
Chemistry is an interesting
thing. It is
kind of crazy what can be done.
The stuff in the bottle can be perfectly clear, from coating A to coating B. But once those are set up and cured, you might have a totally different final result in terms of does that hide or amplify?
How it interplays with light that's hitting it, and that's way more complicated than we have time, resources, or probably even complete understanding to talk about right now. But that is a pretty impressive sight to see this product really knock back the level of defects that are left behind. And let's face it, we don't all have the exact same targets, goals, desires. If we did, we'd all be driving the exact same car as well. And some people are happy with whatever, and others are just nuts about chasing perfection. And there's that old saying that I like to throw out is this hobby is supposed to be your therapy, not the reason you need therapy. However, if you're doing this professionally and you are promising your client a certain level of finish, you need to deliver that level of finish before the application of 888.
It's not uncommon that for a professional, not just the enthusiast learning how to polish, that you may have someone whose budget is here, but their desire is here. And maybe you only can afford to do a one-step correction for what their budget is. This will help you to wow them and deliver beyond their expectations.
Oh, you're still with the beyond. Okay, yeah, good.
By being able to add a little more darkness and a little more gloss, even though they didn't have the budget for a full 2 or 3 step correction.
And as a professional detailer, you can do that without being formally certified by us, because we don't have
a requirement.
We didn't see a need
Yeah.
for a requirement for you to be certified to
Yeah,
purchase and install.
that was the discussion, because this is a professional coating, and I guess some people have different definitions. What makes it professional? Well, if anybody can buy it, it's not professional. I mean, that's one way to look at it. The other way is, what are the results that you can expect from the product as long as you follow the directions and apply it correctly? And this product delivers professional grade results: durability, protection, slickness, gloss, chemical resistance, all those great things. But when you eliminate that stress of that tight window and the timer and barometer and thermometer, all these things that you have to worry about, it seems silly to say, hey, you have to go spend money or time to get certified to install this, when it's so easy that anybody can do it. Yeah. So, that is the reason it's in the professional line, because it is a professional grade product with professional grade results, but it's available to the public because, frankly, anybody that wants to apply this can watch a video and do it at home.
And speaking of which, we have a video out there on how to apply 888. It's dedicated to the application process of the product. So go check that one out here on our YouTube channel. Let's talk a little bit about maintaining 888 after it's been applied and it's cured. We already talked about prefer not washing the car for a week after installation or application, whichever term you like to use. But after that, because we're talking potentially multi-year durability out of this product.
Right. And on the multi-year durability, there's another thing, a point of confusion out there is, some brands describe their coatings by a number of years. And sometimes that number, that 5 years, 7 years, 9 years, 11 years, whatever that claim is, sometimes it has to do with what the warranty is. Sometimes that warranty requires annual reapplications of the coating. Sometimes it's every 2 years, whatever. The case here is that the main thing to do is keep it clean in a reasonable schedule. So washing it or wiping it down once a week or two is the most important thing you can do to achieve multiple years of performance out of that.
We've all seen those cars with a really good high-end coating on it. I mean, a truly quality product. A year after application, when the owner of the car did virtually nothing to it, and maybe some of that even goes back a few years when there was just crazy misinformation being spread about coatings. We've heard people say, oh yeah, my detailer put this coating on my car, said I don't have to do anything to it now.
Yeah.
And nothing could be further from the truth. We all know this now, right? So any coating is going to benefit from being properly taken care of. Our M799 is a perfect product to use as a quick touch-up, top-up, whatever term you like to use, or a drying agent when you're washing your car, however it is that you like to use something like that. That's the perfect thing to use on top of 888. Actually, 799 is great on top of any ceramic coating, to be honest with you.
But to be clear, it's not required to have this product perform. You don't have to be applying a top up every 3 months or month, or there's not that type of a schedule. In terms of when you would use it, how often and how, I mean, really what you're gonna find is once you've applied this coating and it is cured, you're gonna have a hard time getting anything to sit on there for at least 6 months. When soon as you wash the vehicle, you will notice that 799 or anything is gonna come off, because that coating is rejecting everything that you stick on top of it.
The slickness level with this coating is
absurd.
Like I was blown away.
Yeah.
And I mean, we see like everything. It's hard for us to really get impressed with stuff or find something kind of out of the ordinary. I was really impressed with the slickness of this. Like, pleasantly surprised. It's crazy slick. And that slickness actually plays a big role in minimizing or reducing like towel scratches and stuff like that too. Because a lot of that, the towel marks and whatnot, come from that stuff dragging against the paint, and the slicker that finish can be. And a lot of coatings really aren't that slick, because there's that balance of getting water beating versus slickness, and we actually kind of managed to get both at a pretty darn high level here.
Right. And I think there's a lot of confusion out there about what's important. You hear the term hardness. Won't go too far into that, but I think that a case can be made that you're going to benefit more from extreme slickness from a coating than you are from this so-called hardness, just due to the limitations of how thick these coatings can possibly be.
Right.
And
Right.
that slickness translates in the real world to reducing the amount of friction when you wash, when you dry, when you wipe it down. You know, anytime you're touching it, if it's tacky and you go to wipe it off,
Something's grabbing.
it's
on
more
there,
likely
yeah.
to rub into it and cause that marring,
Right,
cause the
right.
swirling. So that high degree of slickness, you know, in our experience, in our opinion, is
Just
what is
sliding off, yeah.
it's going to, you're going to feel when you go to wash this, you barely touch it, and that stuff is just flying off of the paint. And that's really the goal, is to reduce the amount of mechanical effort you need to clean it and keep it clean, looking its best.
So with this interesting, unique, kind of snazzy looking applicator, the ease of application, the ease of wipe off, which we haven't even finished doing yet, and we're still sitting here bringing you guys all this information about 888, and we still have some to wipe off. Look at the timer on the bottom of your video. You know exactly how long this has been sitting on here because we haven't cut away. We can go back and wipe that off, but you get all of those benefits at a very high level. Chemical resistance is like beyond anything. I said it again. Because, I mean, unless you're running your car through one of those touchless washes 3 times a day, whenever you're going to get that level of chemical wash on your vehicle, that slickness, the ease of maintenance, the ease of washing the vehicle on the wheels, on the vinyl. Let's be real fair with something here. On that pebble grain vinyl and on some of the other surfaces, it may not last quite as long as it does on the paint, because bonding to paint is a little bit different than bonding to some of those surfaces. So if you see it looking like it's giving up a little bit earlier on that pebble grain, so you can apply it just real easily, however much later on you find that you need that. And again, exposure is everything, so who knows. But that is that easy to apply, that easy to remove, that forgiving to apply. You can use it on all those different surfaces. You don't need to be certified to obtain it and use it. And if you've never used a coating before, you may not be able to appreciate just how easy it is and how forgiving it is. If you've used a coating and you've struggled, why don't you show them how easy that is to wipe off after all this time, Marcus? I'll let you keep doing the hard work over there.
Someone has to. And it honestly, it feels almost exactly the same as, you know, removing it the other time. Not difficult at all.
You look like you're just wiping a wax off of there, but this is a true, honest to goodness, cross-linking coating.
Absolutely.
Beyond Ceramic M888. And if you've got any other questions for this, obviously, you know, hit us up down below. We'll be back to check on those. You can reach out to our Solutions Hub. Phone numbers on the back of every bottle of product we make, including on M888 Beyond Ceramic. Give those guys a shout. You can check us out on our forum at meguiarsonline.com. Of course, we're all over social media, and we're happy to answer whatever questions you might have on this product, any other product or process that comes to taking care of your vehicle. And thanks for helping out and, you know,
Thanks for having me.
Coating part of my car.
Yeah.
Thank you for joining us. Hope this gives you a lot of information, gets you as excited as we are about M888. And thanks for joining. We'll see you again next time. Stay shiny, everybody.